W-T-L.
It's time!
W-T-L.
I think we got a show. Oh, yeah, we got a show.
W-T-L.
And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. That stands for Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I am your host, Andy Class, and joined by
Jabron.
The red hot
Yeah.
parlay pounder.
You got it.
I mean, are you going to show these NFL playoffs any mercy this week, or are you just going to keep it going full steam?
I hope I can get every one of them right this week.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, with this divisional round, it's heating up, and so am I.
The divisional round here, I think it's kind of curious that some of these lines are inflated, expanded. I think that's kind of surprising. I thought, NFL and the playoffs, teams are getting better and better. Those lines would be getting squeezing and tightening under 3. But, boy, that is not the case on a couple of these games. And we're going to start off with exactly that.
Yeah.
The Houston Texans coming off an impressive win.
Yeah.
C.J. Stroud's the talk of the town, toast of the
man.
town. Never going to have to buy another beer in Houston again.
Yep.
But the storybook rookie season might come to a shattering halt here.
Yeah.
As they have to travel to Baltimore to take on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, who are 13-4, and they are a 9.5 point favorite. I mean, that's good God. Two scores, nearly 10 points.
Yeah, Andy. You look at the Ravens come into this game pretty heavy favorites. They'll be at home for this matchup. Baltimore boasts the best defense in the NFL, maybe the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
But Houston has one of the better passing attacks in the league that C.J. Stroud has been building and building and building this whole entire time. I do believe that the Texans are going to be able to pass the ball on this Baltimore defense.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be a little bit closer than people think. But what I'm really looking at, Andy, is the over right now. I think this is going to sail over 45.5 points. And I know people are going to get a little nuts on me just because that Ravens team boasts that good defense. I just believe that Houston is going to get enough points on there to help the Ravens climb to this. I believe the Ravens get at least 30 points in this game.
Yeah, and some of those player props talking about passing yards kind of play into what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think you have seen enough from C.J. Stroud. You know he can move the ball through the air, and every time Lamar Jackson has been challenged this year, boy, has he risen to the occasion. He also has a passing line projection of over 200 yards. That'll be a curious player prop to look into as well. This over-under, I'm still seeing 43.5s out there if you shop it around. So to me, it looks like a lot of books are getting it bet up to 45 because they have the exact same thought process as you. Like, there's going to be more points scored than you think.
Yeah, just like I said, I believe Houston does have this passing offense and the weapons that they can get points on this Baltimore defense. And Baltimore should be able to do whatever it wants offensively, Andy. You were alluding to with those player props, I have a couple here. My one for Lamar Jackson is on the other side of the ball that we're talking about from passing. His over-under on rushing yards is 53.5. I believe that is a lock. Or Lamar Jackson. Jackson, Josh Allen, they pull out all the stops in the NFL playoffs to get those rushing yards.
I feel like that's been a very obvious thing from Buffalo, especially, and we'll get into that game. But yeah, Josh Allen, I mean, he can pick up 50 rushing yards in one freaking play, and the same for Lamar Jackson. I'm looking at his over-under as far as passing yards. It's at 226.5, so you're not going to get the hook. I think a lot of money, the majority of money right now is coming in on the over. I'm not so sure about that because I don't know if Baltimore's going to have to pass the ball. It's going to be cold weather. They can play dirty. They don't mind winning a rock fight. They don't mind winning by 10 or fewer points.
This is Harbaugh, and he doesn't care how he wins, Andy. It's just win, win, win. The other thing you got to look at when you're looking at player props, Isaiah Likely has been on fire of late, but there are rumblings in the building that this might be Mark Andrews' comeback game. He is eligible to get back on the roster as of Friday. So keep an eye on that, especially if you're looking at any of those Isaiah Likely props, because if Mark Andrews back in the building, that guy's production might go down a little bit.
I think the better bet there, okay, so Andrews, you got the injury worries, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And your guy you just mentioned there, is he consistent enough? Zay Flowers,
yes.
I think, is a better bet at 48.5. Hit the over. I mean,
Hit the over
big time.
3.5 catches right now as well for his reception.
I like them both.
Prop.
I think I like
love
them
both. He's their guy.
Yeah.
You have to kind of look at Odell as well. They kept him out of that last season game, getting him healthy and stuff, and you know he's a baller in the playoffs. So I like Odell's stuff. Anybody on the Ravens side of the ball, you're gonna have a good shot at hitting those props.
We're pouring a lot of love in on Baltimore, and I think deservedly so. However, Houston has covered 4 of the last 5 games, and I think Houston's going to cover here. I think they're going to keep it within 10 points. I really do.
Yeah, Andy, I think it's going to turn into a little bit of a shootout. I don't really want to back the Texans just
it's
because
tough.
I love Baltimore. I think they are the best team in the league.
I like them too.
I think I have to side if it's at 9.5. I think I have to side with the Ravens. Probably sidestep it and throw all my cash on that over
on the better bet. I do like that too. And I'm just saying a lean. I'm not saying bet the farm.
Yeah.
I just think if I had to do a lean, I'm thinking Houston can cover that. They have been. I would say since what would you say, week 13, week 12, Houston. They have been one of the better bets in the NFL.
No doubt. They're a wagon, and if you were on them early, you've made some money.
All right, let's talk about the Saturday 7:15 game on Fox. No streaming services, no more Peacock. This is on good old Fox. You know what you're going to get here.
Yeah.
Green Bay is heading on out to San Francisco. They, too, after an impressive win, are 9.5-point dogs to the 49ers.
Yeah, and I'm seeing this getting bet up already to 10.5, Andy.
Really?
On some books. Just because everybody's infatuated. It's just like we were just talking about. Everybody's infatuated with the Baltimore Ravens, with the San Francisco 49ers, the two best teams in the NFL.
Yeah,
these are the 2 odds-on favorites to make the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. So, I think I have to take a stab on the Packers again, Andy.
Yeah.
Green Bay has really found its stride over the last 9 games, and they're playing their best football of the season right now. San Francisco has been a little injury-prone and off the field for so long. I can't remember the last time that their players played. I can't remember the last time CMC stepped on the field.
That's good for him, though. I don't want him getting hurt.
I agree 100%, but there is a little bit to that, ring rust kind of thing.
Sure.
And,
okay.
I really like that the Packers are coming in with a full head of steam to San Francisco this weekend.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that, where you can be over-rested. I just feel that with San Francisco being a veteran team, being there before, well-coached team, right, I don't think it's going to bother them as much. And I don't know. I feel good for Jordan Love.
Yeah.
But being a Bears fan, I just hate seeing it.
I totally agree with you.
And I got to think that, okay, it's got to run out sometimes, kind of like I'm waiting for the bomb to fall out with C.J. Stroud, and I just don't know if it's going to happen.
I just don't know if that's going to happen.
Right. So if I'm thinking that, I guess I'm kind of leaning with you as far as Green Bay should be able to cover this. It's just that they're so on opposite ends of the spectrum, where Green Bay, you got so much youth, so much unknowns. San Francisco is such a constant, such a staple in the playoffs. If one of these 2 teams is going to cover that 9.5, 10 points, and I think San Francisco would be the better bet of the 2 to make that cover.
No, you're probably right, Andy. I'm just looking at how they demolished the Cowboys. That defense is supposed to be all-world, probably just a little bit worse than the San Francisco 49ers defense, but they gave up 510 yards to the Packers, 387 passing, like you're alluding to. Jordan Love playing out of his mind, and it just looked like it was a different team.
It did. It did.
I think, like you're saying, I might have to sidestep this game as well.
Sure.
There are a couple player props, Andy, that I love in this game. I have to give out a shout-out to our South Dakota State alum, Tucker Kraft, the tight end for the Green Bay Packers.
There we
His
go.
over-under on yards right now is abysmal, 24.5 yards. This guy can get that in one catch, like we said. I believe this goes over big time, and then I'm flipping right over to the other side of the ball with that tight end, George Kittle. His receptions are at 3.5 right now. When they get into the playoffs, they love using this guy. This is gonna smack. This guy's gonna have 5 or 6 catches on Saturday night.
Yeah, and this is one of those games I don't know if it's drawing a lot of action as far as player props go, but one that is drawing a little bit more than most would be Brandon Ayuk and that 66.5 yards receiving. I'm seeing the majority of the money being bet on the over. Where do you kind of fall on that one?
Yeah, probably with the over. He is there. I mean, number one receiver, if you count Debo as
Sure.
kind of a wingback or whatever.
H-back.
He probably will get that. I like going on a little lower props, like Christian McCaffrey sitting there at 32.5 yards receiving, or
Okay.
Debo at 58. These guys are still going to get the ball,
Yeah.
and they're probably going to get receiving yards as well.
I mean, that CMC at 32.5, you said?
Yeah.
That sounds like 2 receptions, maybe 1, just like the rushing
Exactly.
lines for those 2 quarterbacks. Like Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson can pick that up in 1 run. We've seen it the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You saw with Josh Allen.
You
last
saw with
week.
Josh Allen.
It's pretty impressive.
One that I did forget about the Houston game, Andy, that I really like, that's a plus money bet right now. CJ Stroud over 1.5 passing touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
Is at a
Yeah.
plus 145 on DraftKings right
Okay.
now. I believe that's free money. If they want
Like
any
it.
chance of winning this game or being
Yep.
in this game, it's going to be CJ Stroud leading the way with this passing. So over 1.5 passing touchdowns is at a plus 145. Jump on that now.
I do like that one a lot. That 1.5, he's getting 2 through the air,
He
isn't
has
he?
to. He has to.
If they're going to win or have a chance to win or cover like I think they will,
Yeah.
he has to get that 2 touchdowns. And his last 3-4 weeks, that feels like a lock, what I've seen from him.
That feels like a lock as well. One that I did want to get your, kind of...
I'll shoot. I'll give you a shot.
I love Debo Samuel. I think he's one of the most electrifying players in NFL.
Yeah?
I always love his rushing props.
Okay.
Because they're
Where's he at?
so low.
Let me
It's
see this.
15.5 yards.
Over. Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's a lock.
Yeah.
Because he probably only gets 4 to 5, touches a game from that spot for, running the football. But he breaks one for 32, every other game.
Yeah.
I love 15.5 for Debo. Take that over on his rushing yards. Thank you for confirming that.
You heard the horn, so that means we're up against it. But I rode Debo all the way to a fantasy football title.
There you go.
Once again, so I'm smacking the over. Give
Yep,
me as
I
much
agree.
Debo as you possibly can.
Love it, love it.
Let's take a quick minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company. What do you got going on over there,
I
Jabron?
got a spicy pickle fight.
Ooh.
A pickle fight returns with a KO. It's a pickle punch to your throat. I love this stuff. It's so good. Nebraska Brewing Company.
I mean, that's an aggressive 12 ounces right
It is.
there.
It really is.
That's hot. That's a hot one.
You got Dill the Pickle with the boxing gloves on. It's the best.
Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Andy Klassen, joined by
Jabron.
the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. We're back.
Now it's time to talk a little NCAA roundball.
Yes,
a little
sir.
Basketball.
Yes, sir.
On kind of disappointing Wednesday evening.
Yeah, that was
Whether
rough.
If you're a Husker, you're a Creighton, or you're a J-Sker,
Yeah.
it didn't matter. It didn't go out. It didn't come out the way you were hoping.
It really didn't. I have 3 teams that I really follow, Andy, in college football, that being Nebraska, Creighton, and Maryland Terrapins, all taking the L's on Wednesday night. It was a rough Wednesday for me.
Oh yeah, Northwestern got the better of Maryland.
Exactly.
Oh,
and that's
man.
who we're going to be talking about here in a little bit as well.
Well, let's start with, we got a trio of Saturday games, good games lined up here. Well, let's start with an 11 o'clock tip-off on FS1. That is Creighton traveling out to Newark, New Jersey to take on, I'm telling you, the red-hot Seton Hall Pirates. I just looking at recent play from both these teams, look out, because I think the Pirates are going to be a tough team to bet against.
Yeah, exactly, Andy. And this is probably going to be a favored towards Seton Hall, especially with the Creighton loss to UConn by double-digit points, Andy. The thing that I really hone in when I'm looking at these two teams is they both recently just played St. John's,
Yes,
Andy.
they did. Yep.
We barely beat them. We being Creighton Blue Jays.
Yep.
Probably a couple calls that went our way that probably shouldn't have.
Skinned by 1 at home.
Skinned by 1 at home. On the opposite side, the Seton Hall Pirates rolled through them, beating them by 18 points.
80-65.
Crazy.
I mean, they're not ranked in the top 25. They're always underdogs, even at home.
Yeah.
Their metrics and all their stats, they're lackluster. There's nothing to really point. I'm like, ooh, this is it. And they're not getting any national respect.
Yeah.
That might change after a statement win at home over a ranked team, if Creighton is still ranked.
Yeah.
Come
well,
Saturday.
they will be because they can't take their ranking away until Monday.
Okay, so there you go.
There you go. The thing that, you got to look at Seton Hall is that, hello, they're sitting at top of
the Big East.
The Big East.
Yeah.
They're the number one team in the Big East, 6-1 in conference play.
Yep.
Obviously, UConn has only played 6 games, so they have that extra win over them. But Seton Hall they're for real. They're going to be in the top 25. They're pretty much going to replace Creighton in the top 25. Creighton for the rest of the season is going to be burrowing right there at that 25 spot, in and out the entire way, just depending how the ending stretch goes. I'm not going to say the Creighton Blue Jays don't have a chance in this game, because if they heat up, they do.
Right.
And if Kalkbrenner, plays the way that he needs to, that's a huge advantage for the Blue Jays. But the way that they're playing right now and the way that Seton Hall's playing, I have to give the edge to the Pirates.
That was just kind of a boring game to watch or to listen to.
Yeah.
Creighton, a Wednesday evening versus number one. Don't get it twisted. It was the number one ranked team in the nation, UConn.
Right.
But UConn just got out to a lead and just kind of held on to it. And Creighton never made you believe or feel that they were going to come back. That total was set at 145 and a half. Didn't even get close. 62-48. 110 was your total, and UConn was a 6.5 point favorite. Covered that easily.
Yeah, no, I don't remember the last time I see this abysmal of a Creighton, spread.
Yeah,
only
bizarre.
scoring 48 points, only shooting 6 for 26 from 3-point. That's 23%. Mason Miller not scoring. Trey Alexander, our dog, only getting 6 points is absolutely crazy. So hopefully they have a bounce back. We can practice a couple of days of practice here. Get the pirate ship ready to go face the Pirates.
Yeah, and I think the story was the rebounding. Just like the old teams of Creighton just got beat up on the boards, and that was the difference, especially in the first half, and then that just continued into the second half. And I think Seton Hall, they're a good enough team. They'll figure that out, and they'll defend home court, and it's an opportunity for them to get that national respect and really take it to Creighton. So if Creighton is favored, jump on the Pirates. If the Pirates are only favored by 2, maybe even 3, I still like the Pirates, I think.
Me too.
So, all right, should we move on to a 1:15 tip-off on BTN?
Let's do it.
NU versus NU.
Yes.
Finally, the Huskers get a home game after a couple tough
man.
road games. Now, it was a glorious home game. Last time we saw the Huskers at home knock off the number 1 ranked Purdue Boilermakers. Boy, was that fun short-lived, because the Hawkeyes took it to Nebraska.
Jeez.
And then overtime at Rutgers.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I didn't like the first half where I felt they let it kind of get away.
Yeah.
But then the second half, they got it rolling just to give it back.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same way against Iowa.
I'm talking Wednesday
yeah,
against
you're talking
Rutgers.
Wednesday. I'm just saying it's the same thing against Iowa. Just starting out, what was it, 14-2 or 16-4, whatever it was. You cannot do that and spend all of your energy the entire game trying to get back to, even fold and then have the energy to push it over. That's the same way with overtime in Rutgers. You could just tell that we didn't have anybody that could score the ball. Hoiberg's scored the last 6 points of the game for us.
Yikes.
That can't be what happens. Ryan Mass cannot just have 4 points and 5 fouls. That is not going to work out for the Huskers. And Northwestern just beat a really, I think, a kind of an underdog Maryland team that has some good players on it. On Wednesday night, a very close game. They squeaked it out at home, but I would be pretty surprised if Northwestern wasn't favored by a point or 2 going into Lincoln here.
Well, I think you touched on a couple of things there, and I think it's very evident with Nebraska that they're not a good enough team where they can get behind.
Yes.
They can't play from behind like that, but they are good enough to where, at home, right conditions, Tominaga's hitting threes, Mast is getting rebounds and making plays on the offensive end, helping things out. Gary's making the hustle plays. When those things come together, they can knock off of Purdue.
They can.
But when everyone's just kind of looking around waiting for somebody else to make a play and they have an early deficit, they can't overcome that.
No, they really can't, Andy. So I know Pinnacle Bank Arena will be packed, supporting the boys again on Saturday. I'm just hoping that crowd noise and everything gets these guys going early, because if we do, like you said, if we have a lead, it really plays into the crowd and it really helps these guys out. They thrive on it.
It's just the books have gotten so sharp over the last couple of the seasons, coming around to Pinnacle Bank Arena. But if it's a pick 'em, give me my Huskers.
Yeah, I believe so as well. I like the Huskers at home. We're going to be ready for a win, and I think Hoiberg will get them going in the right direction. Yeah. Tominaga at home, he's invincible.
And when he hits a three, whether he's started 0 for 4 or whatever, it doesn't matter. Yeah. When he hits that triple, the crowd erupts. The top gets blown off, and it energizes everybody on the court, too.
It really does.
It's kind of fun to watch. It's pretty wild.
It's pretty awesome. But, yeah, we got to be hitting shots, and we got to be playing that tough-nosed defense like the Huskers can. So I like the Huskers at home on Saturday.
Should we talk about another Big East matchup here?
Numero uno.
FS1, 7 o'clock tip-off. So we're taking from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Yep. You're just going to have to tell the wife, I'll scoop snow on Sunday. We can always make up for it on Sunday, but Saturday,
that's a Sunday job.
That is college basketball here.
Yep.
Number 1 UConn heading to Philadelphia to take on the Villanova Wildcats.
Yeah.
And I'm watching some of the latest games from Villanova, and this is not a vintage Villanova type of team.
No.
Compared
they're
to
still decent.
They're good.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I think the Big East, barring DePaul, is solid
for
top
sure
to bottom. But Villanova, you used to think of Villanova and this really tough, rugged defensive team. Like if they weren't scoring, it's fine because their defense.
And a perennial Sweet 16 arrival every year.
But they just dropped a game to a very talented Marquette team where they just got overmatched. Their defense didn't show up. They out-rebounded, no blocks, no steals, more turnovers. All those big stats, those indicators, led to that 13-point loss to Marquette earlier in the week.
Yeah. Andy,
and that's how they've been losing games.
And that's how they've been losing games, Andy. They have, like you said, a couple wins over DePaul in their last 5, and one squeaked out one against Xavier.
Yep.
But on the other side of the ball, Andy, UConn, number 1 in the nation right now, but they're not blowing these guys out other than Creighton on Wednesday.
It's Big East, man.
I'm just saying, like, a 4-point win over St. John's, a 6-point win against Butler, a 5-point win against Xavier. So these teams can hang with this. These guys aren't world beaters,
right?
And if this gets stretched out to 10 points or something, I do probably like Villanova to cover at home.
Okay,
but if this is any close, like 5. 4 or 5 points, I'm all over the Huskies.
I mean, and we're projecting, and Villanova, give them credit. I mean, they're 3rd in the conference right now, 4-2 in the conference, but that's just stacked up with a lot of teams that are 4-3, 4-2 in the Big East. And I don't think this. I mean, I'm looking at this game kind of like I was looking at the Creighton versus UConn. I think this is going to be 6.5, maybe 7.
Yeah,
and you make some good points there. I'm looking at some of the stats here. UConn is only 102nd in the nation in total rebounds.
Yeah,
so there are chinks in the armor.
There's ways to do it. If that game is in Creighton at Omaha, against UConn, it's a totally different game. Just like you're alluding to with the Huskers, Creighton plays a lot better at home.
Yeah,
they get the crowd going, all that kind of stuff. Villanova has a huge fan base as well. Big East basketball, like we said, perennial powerhouse in the Big East. So, if it gets inflated, I might have to look at the Wildcats, but UConn is probably going to win this game.
Yeah, and they just got back their star center, Donovan Klingen.
He killed
it. He killed Creighton.
Yes, he did.
Oh my God, did he make an impact? And
he did.
Maybe that's why you're seeing some of the downturn in some of these stats, like rebounds for UConn.
Yeah,
they didn't have their big man. Now they do.
It's just what it is. And if you're looking at team metrics, Andy, UConn averages over 10 more points a game, averaging 84 points. Villanova only 74. So they are a very good team. There's a reason they're number 1, and I believe that they probably take down the Wildcats in Villanova.
Yeah, I think they're going to take them down too. And if it's around 5 or 6, I like UConn.
For
if
sure.
It's stretched out, maybe have a little pause there.
Give a little look at the Wildcats.
Well, you heard the horn. That means we're up against it, so let's take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Stock and Rod Company, an outdoor lifestyle brand for those seeking adventure. Whether it's hunting, fishing, hiking, they got you covered. Visit stockandrod.com to get your wild game on. They'll also have some merch at the Deer and Game Expo this weekend. Friday through Sunday. Swing by booth 246, Chasing the Dream TV on NCN and YouTube. And they are the clothing partner, merch partner of that show. So Stock and Rod,
Perfect.
An outdoor lifestyle brand. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I'm your host, Ian D. Klassen, joined by
Jabron.
the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. You got it.
And we're getting back into the UFC.
Let's go.
Because we got a banger.
Yes.
297 up in Toronto, going back to Canada. Oh, Canada.
Yep, Tarzan boy heading to Canada.
It's going to be a lot of fun. But before we look ahead, let's take a look back at some of our hits and misses of last week. And I was chalking last week up to some pretty good wins.
Yeah, a lot of green on this side for sure.
No doubt about it. I was pretty happy reposting some of those shorts that we made. Then there's just every single one of them just hit. Like that one short that was like 46 seconds on Tampa Bay, Philly.
Yeah.
I think we had 3 plays in that 46 seconds and all 3 of them cashed. I'm like,
for sure. Yeah, we were under the understanding that the wrong team was favored there.
Yeah.
The home team with Tampa Bay playing really well. Philadelphia Eagles coming into it not playing very well.
No.
And it continued for Philly.
Yeah.
They just didn't have it. They didn't have their top target in A.J. Brown. The tush push wasn't working against Levante David and the Buccaneers defense. So I really like that we hit that one.
Yeah. And, going into that, Philadelphia didn't cover the last 6 games.
Yeah.
We'll chalk it up to the last 7 games of the season.
Yep.
They did not cover. That's kind of how their season went.
And we got to give a shout out to Mr. Trey Palmer, Husker football legend. Scoring there. He woke up angry and he ended up in the end zone.
I saw that ever since his first time he tweeted that against the Iowa game, he's pretty much a lock for a touchdown.
So yeah.
You gotta don't do the anytime touchdown on Trey Palmer until you
until he
look
wakes
at his
up
Twitter.
Angry.
Yep. And if he doesn't wake up angry, don't bet it. As far as a couple misses, we did have a couple of those. We're way off on an NCAA basketball game, and that'll happen. We thought Oklahoma was coming into Lawrence, Kansas with a head of steam, and the Jayhawks were licking their wounds. They were, but man, did they use the Sooners as a bounce back game in a big way.
Yeah, it doesn't really take too long for Bill Self to figure out what's going on, especially in conference against these guys that he plays year in, year out. I think we, look down on Kansas a little bit. Our brother Shane is a big Jayhawk guy, so we tend to bet against the Jayhawks when we probably shouldn't. So yes, that is a miss. One other miss that I wanted to go over is I had my number 1 wide receiver parlay. Took for the Rams. I took Cooper Kupp. Obviously, he is not the number 1 receiver in Los Angeles anymore. It is Puka Nacua. So I learned my lesson on that. I'm always on Puka now.
And we also had the Rams a slight favorite there, and they just about got you there.
They had it.
Credit Detroit for somehow.
Jared Goff is good enough for Detroit.
Good enough for Detroit. Good enough for a really light win, tight win at home. It was
for those guys.
I was happy for the Lions as well. But let's end on a positive note here.
Yes.
Green Bay.
The green check mark for Green Bay.
We said it. Packers on the road in Dallas. and we weren't even trying to dog on the Cowboys.
No,
but
it's just going to happen. It's
just
going to happen.
What is going on?
I'm sorry. They have lost 3 straight playoff games when they're favored over a touchdown, Andy. They just can't hack it. They can't hack it in the postseason. I believe the coach should be fired. They were not ready to play that game. Something needs to happen, but I don't care. Keep everybody because I love when the Cowboys lose, and it's so funny that the Packers did it with a new quarterback.
And I feel like
funny.
a lot of those stats were like kind of given to them because Green Bay had such a big lead. They're like, all right, we'll just kind of play a prevent defense, let this game kind of run itself out.
Yeah, they wouldn't have scored those garbage time touchdowns if Green Bay was still on the pedal. So, pretty crazy. But, good weekend in all, especially for our football.
Yep, the Green Bay-Dallas game and Tampa Bay versus Philly, we were all over that.
Let's go.
Up and down the card. Let's talk about the main card.
Yes.
UFC 297, Toronto. We're heading back to Canada.
Yes.
UFC said they're going to do a lot more traveling.
They are.
And they are. It's good to see. And this card is littered with a lot of good old Canucks.
Yeah.
Canadians up and down here. But we're going to start with the number 4 contender in the featherweight bout here. Arnold Allen from the UK taking on Mazar Evlov. He's the number 9 contender out of Russia. He's also your favorite at a minus 166.
Yeah, the way I'm looking at this, Andy, Arnold Allen boasts a strong striking and solid defensive game. Evlov excels in wrestling and grappling with an undefeated record, like you just said. This seems like another classic matchup, striker versus grappler.
Yeah.
I like Evlov. Wrestling could give him the slight edge in a close match. I did like Arnold's last time out against Max Holloway. Showed his grit and everything.
He did.
But
Still lost.
And this is going to be if he gets on the ground, Evlov wins this. So I like Evlov. Take that money line right there.
All righty, I think I know how you're going to sit on this one. A middleweight bout. The next one up the card. We got Chris Curtis, the American number 14 contender in this weight class.
Yeah.
He's a minus 166 favor over a Canadian. Now he might get some hometown cred here. Mark Andrej.
Yeah, Andy, I'm probably going to go a different way than you think. I like Mark Andre in this. Curtis striking is top-notch, but on the other side, this guy has shown resilience in recent fight. This is a hard fight to predict, as it's likely to be a close contest, even though I believe Curtis has the slight edge in striking and accuracy and power. I believe Mark Andre rarely gets knocked out, and I believe that he will do just enough to hang with Curtis and have an exciting, scrappy brawl that the judges will award the hometown fighter. Like you said, I really like Mark Andre in this fight.
Yeah, Mark Andrej probably had to cut a lot more weight than Curtis. He's 6'1" compared to 5'10", and they're both weighing in at 185. Sometimes that plays a role in it. It's unbelievable that he's so much taller, yet Curtis has a little bit of an edge as far as reach, 75.5 compared to 74. What are these body types?
It's crazy. And like you said, this should be kind of a coin flip, Andy. I think Curtis is getting a little bit of the edge in the books just because of the name.
He's been around a lot longer.
Mark Andre, on the other side, has 10 wins by knockout. This is going to be fist-flying UFC action. I love this fight. I can't wait to watch it, but I do like the plus money with Mark Andre.
All right, let's move on up the card to a welterweight bout that's featuring another Canadian.
Yep.
Mike Malott, heavy favorite, minus 250 over the American Neil Magny. And Magny he's currently ranked. Malott is not. What's going on here?
Well, this is another one of those with a declining.
One guy's going up, one guy's going down.
One guy goes down. Neil Magny was very disappointed in a fight against Ian Gary, barely hanging on with one leg. I was surprised that the fight goes to a decision. I really like Mike Malott right here.
Yeah.
He's finished his opponents in his last 6 professional fights, 4 with submissions, 2 with knockouts. 3 of those fights were in the UFC.
Yeah.
I think the hometown fighter gets it again. Mike Malott to win.
Malott only has 12 UFC fights to his name. He's 10-1-1. Magny, on the other hand, has 12 losses. He's 28-12. A lot more tread on the tires,
no doubt.
This does look like a classic. One guy's going up the rankings.
Correct.
One guy's maybe heading on out.
Yep. Sorry, Neil. Yeah, your time is over.
Okay, now this is considered somewhat of a co-main event.
Yes, it is.
Let's talk about the women's bantamweight title bout here.
Yep.
The belt is on the line. We got the American Raquel Pennington. She's an underdog to the Brazilian Silva, who's the number 3 contender in the world. Not a big underdog, but you got that minus 166 on Silva.
Yeah, Andy. Pennington is known for toughness, striking, and experience. Silva excels in Brazilian jiu-jitsu and has a strong submission game. Pennington's weakness lies in the occasional, she's pretty passive, and while Silva can struggle with striking defense. This is another hard fight to predict, but I'm giving the favorite a slight edge here. I just believe Silva gets after it a little bit more. I believe she takes this down and wins the belt. This is going to be a really fun one to watch as well. So anytime when the belt's on the line, it's really good, but Silva is a really, really fun fighter to watch. So I'm backing her.
Silva has a little bit of weight and a lot less tread on the tires. We kind of mentioned a little bit younger fighter. here. I think the favorite is kind of the way to go here, too. And once again, you have number 2 versus number 3 contenders in this weight class. Yeah. So, of course, it's going to be about a coin flip. Wouldn't be surprised if this gets down to about a minus 121, for minus sure. 110 type of deal when it gets to ringing that bell.
Nope, I can't wait for this one. It's going to be a really good, teaser for the main event.
Here we go. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Tarzan!
Tarzan. Sean Strickland. He's running his mouth, but he's running his mouth with the belt.
Yes, he is.
His first title defense here, and he is your odds-on favorite, a minus 130 over DDP. Yeah. The South African, though, is he's taking on some money on the books here. A lot of folks like the number 2 contender in Duplessis.
Yeah, Andy. Sean Strickland, like you said, biggest upset, probably one of them in UFC history, dethroning Israel Adesanya after his big win over Alex Pereira. Now the hunter becomes the hunted, I would say, with DDP. He did manage to get in Strickland's head in the press conference with comments about his dad, which, just went blood red for Sean Strickland. He does not like that kind of stuff. Yeah. Mind games are part of this, and I'm not, confident that Strickland can keep his composure in this fight. You saw that they already fought each other at the last UFC event in the crowd.
That was crazy. A lot was freaking crazy.
The really funny thing was, like, Strickland, you could tell that he was blood red mad, and then he still asked the kids to move aside so he could.
He goes, "Man, would you grab your son and get him out of the way
so I can fight this guy?" So this has a little bit of
Miami.
Yeah. This has a little bit of that, Khabib, Conor McGregor kind of hatred, growing towards it. So I can't wait to watch this fight. The styles makes the fight, and Strickland does well with his forward pressure. He may not work as well against DDP, who will be hesitant to move forward and brawl with Strickland or mix it up with some grappling where
Strickland and his camp put together one hell of a camp when they took down Adesanya, and I think they can do the same here for DDP.
Let's go.
I am taking the favorite. I like Strickland. I was hesitant. He's one of your favorites, and we've always talked about him. Yeah. But after what I saw with taking out Israel Adesanya like that, in kind of a dominating fashion, I thought.
Yes, he did.
That fourth round, I was kind of surprised Adesanya was able to keep on his feet. Yeah. I really was. DDP, there's not much to not like about that guy, though, either.
No, big rising stars in the UFC, Andy. Obviously, I got to back my boy Sean Strickland. He is my favorite, but my best bet of the night, because if he's going to win this, he's going to win it by knockout. That's at a plus 200 right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. So please be with me on this one. Tarzan plus 200 for knockout over DDP. Let's go, Sean. Can't wait for this one.
Let's go, Sean. Take the show up to Canada.
Let's go.
Toronto. Show them what's going on. Take a minute to recognize one of our fabulous partners, and that is the Nebraska Brewing Company. World class in every glass. Don't go anywhere. This is WTL. And welcome back, everybody, to WTL. That stands for Where's the Line? Nebraska's first and only sports betting show. I am your host, Andy Klassen, joined by
Jabron.
Oh, the Parlay Pounder.
You got it. You got it right on the head, Andy.
Oh, my God. And we started with the NFL Divisional round on one side, and we're going to end with the Sunday games here, right now.
Can't wait.
We got to start with the 2 o'clock kickoff on NBC. No more Peacock, no more streaming services.
No.
This is on network television.
Basics.
You can even have one of those antennas, those flat antennas that plug into your TV with the USB. That could pick up the game this week, Grandpa.
A little staticky, but
don't worry about it. I will say, I stuck to my guns. I did not buy the subscription. I heard a lot of people did the $6 thing, then dumped it.
Yep.
Nope. I was one of the people out there that said, no, I'm not going to pay more money for more games than I thought I already been paying for this. Like, what more do I need to do?
Yeah.
I got a cable subscription. I got Apple TV. I got all
Disney
these things.
Plus.
Yeah, like, what are we
Amazon
doing?
Prime.
Oh, my God. Now I need Prime. Oh, my God. So that was one of those games where I just kind of listened to it, watched it on X, on Twitter.
Yep.
And then I watched the highlights on YouTube afterwards.
Yeah, you can always find out what's going on with these games. There's too much media coverage not to. too. It just, I know a lot of people that did not buy the subscription, but I just went over to a friend's house to elude not buying it.
There you go. Good friend. I like that. It never hurts to have more and more friends.
Yep.
All right, so this is a 2 o'clock kickoff on NBC.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay going to Detroit, where the Lions, bless their heart, bless their soul, they won a playoff game for the first time in, 85 years or something like that?
So long. Barry Sanders, since Barry Sanders.
And they were underdogs, and now they are nearly a touchdown favorite, 6.5 points at home with a 48.5 total to go along with it.
I'm glad that they got up really, high on themselves this past week, and I'm glad they beat the Rams. Mm-hmm. I just see a letdown, a huge letdown game here, Andy.
Really?
I'm not sold on their defense, and the Buccaneers offense looked really good last game. Baker Mayfield really put on a show in his last game, and he's going to find success again in this game, Andy. Okay. The Lions offense is still probably going to score enough points to, be there. Yeah. They could win the game, Andy. Yeah. I'm just saying this is going to be a field goal game.
I think so.
It has the makings of, Buccaneers score with, a minute 24 left and Goff has to win the game.
Yeah.
That's what I feel this game is going to be. I'm jumping all over Bucks plus 6.5.
And Detroit's been doing this all year long, and I don't know why they don't get more respect. I think just because it's Detroit, but they've won 13 games now in the NFL.
Yep.
They deserve to be where they are, and they deserve to be favorites. But I'll pump the brakes here. I don't know if I like them by a touchdown. This opened up at 5, and I thought that sounds about right.
Yeah.
And now that it's up around a touchdown, I don't know. That's like it gets to a point like all games do. Every game has a number, right?
Yep.
And for me, the 6.5 or 7. Give me the Bucks.
Give you the Bucks. I think you have to go with the Bucks. You've seen, even though Detroit, they played really well. They have 13 wins, like you alluded to, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They still have these games where they can't get right, and they just feel out of whack sometimes on offense. So I feel like this is going to be too high of an emotion, and they're going to come down. Yeah. I really believe the Bucks might pull an upset off here for sure cover.
Hey, you've been calling the upsets these playoffs. We go back last week to Green Bay, over Dallas. So nothing new for you. And then Tampa Bay, you called that one as well over Philadelphia. And Tampa Bay has been covering as of late. 5 of the last 6 games they have covered, but Detroit, more of the same. For their last 5, they have been able to cover. The difference has been Detroit, and that offense has been smacking the over. This has been bet up to 48.5. Do you like that trend, or do you think...
I think the trend is correct. I believe there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game, Andy. So I believe if you can you've shopped around, find it at 47, 46.5 still. Some places do that. I mean, I would probably bet it up to 50. I do believe there's going to be that many points in this. Like I said, one of my best bets of this game, Andy, is Baker Mayfield over 253 yards.
Okay.
I believe he is going to have a lot of success passing against this Detroit Lions defense. So I believe the Bucs are going to score a lot of points, and that the Lions aren't just going to roll over and die. So they are going to score some points as well. I like the over for sure.
Okay, well, one of the player prop bets that's gaining a lot of taking on a lot of action right now is Jared Goff, and actually the majority of the under is being bet on the under. His line is 278.5 yards right now. So of course you can think that everyone's just thinking, short-term memory, last game, how spectacular it was, fourth quarter, all those things. And then the books, I think, got away with one here where they're able to put kind of an inflated line out there, and people are betting it just like they thought they would.
Yeah, for sure. And Jared Goff can win with 270 yards passing. He doesn't have to go over this to win. I'm just saying that I do believe it's going to be a little bit of a lower total for him.
Yeah.
And I believe that is correct to go with the under on Jared Goff stuff.
I'll give you an over for Detroit, though, too.
Yep.
Because I like to feel good, right?
Let's do it.
Sam Laporta.
Yes.
34.5 yards.
I was just going to say it. Let's go.
Yeah. That's an over bet.
That's an over bet.
Right?
34.5. Sam Laporta is one of their biggest weapons. They're going to be doubling Amon-Ra St. Brown the entire game.
Okay.
Jump on Sam Laporta. I believe this gets probably up to 40, 45 by the time this kicks off. So get it at 34.5 right now, Andy. Another one that I want to do, opposite side of the ball for the Detroit Lions. I was just bagging on their defense. Yeah. But I like the over. Aiden Hutchinson over 0.75. Sack is at plus 124 right now. Aiden Hutchinson is going to get a sack in this game on Baker. Baker holds onto the ball just a little bit too long sometimes.
Tries to make plays.
Which he does, and he's going to make some plays in this game. I believe Aiden does get that sack, though. So give me that over on Aiden Hutchinson.
Real quick, I like that one, too. He's going to get that sack. He has a highlight on ESPN SportsCenter after every
doubt
game.
about it.
And it's usually one play he gets loose and beats his guy.
Yep.
Rashad White, running back for Tampa Bay,
Yes,
53.5 yards. Do you like that?
He's just been balling out, Andy.
I know he has. So I kind of like the over here. If I'm doing player props, and that's where I want to spend.
55.5, is that what it is?
53.5.
53.5. You got to take it.
I think it's an over.
I believe all three of these guys with the player props that you're looking at. David Montgomery at 55.5. Jameer Gibbs at 45.5. I believe all three of these guys could get to that. It's just if this becomes a passing sort of game like we're alluding to, are these guys going to get the ball? So I would go yes on Rashad White because they are going to get him the ball early and often.
Love it. All right, let's talk about that nightcap.
Let's do it.
5:30 on CBS.
Game of the year.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
Let's go, Buffalo. The Bills are hosting at Highmark Stadium. Hopefully snow won't be such a factor, but the Buffalo Bills are your 2.5-point favorite. Who'd have thought this 5 weeks ago?
Yeah.
They are a 2.5-point home favorite against Kansas City. That the over is sitting at 45.5 as of right now, but that is taking on some money, and that is skyrocketing up as we speak. So if you like that over, get in on it now because I think it's going to be bet up even more closer to that kickoff.
It definitely is, and I'm all over that over, Andy. We've seen this game 3 or 4 times over.
Yep. In the playoffs.
And it goes over. These two teams love to score. They got some of the best players in the NFL. This is going to be so much fun to watch.
It is.
It's going to be another one. Bills are playing their best football of the season, Andy. 6 straight wins.
Yeah.
They're at home, and they've managed to beat the Chiefs in 3 of the last 4 meetings.
Except for that one.
And when did that happen?
In the playoffs.
Yeah.
But it was in Kansas City.
Yes.
At Arrowhead.
So I understand where they're getting the nod. With all that said, Andy, we're getting Patrick Mahomes in an underdog role. Sometimes we don't get that. In fact, Mahomes has been an underdog in just 10 times previously. He has won 7 of those games being an underdog.
Yeah, he has 74 starts for his career, does Patrick Mahomes. He's only been an underdog 10 times, and the line I saw, he was 8-1-1. So they gave him a push.
He's covered 8.
He's covered 8.
He's covered 8.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Only a dog 10 times. Out of the 74 starts.
And this will be the 8th time since 2020 the Chiefs will be the underdogs, and they've won 5 of those games. So you don't get these chances typically in the playoffs where the best player in the universe is an underdog.
Right.
This is definitely one of those times.
Buffalo's playing a different game right now.
Yeah.
They had those midseason lulls, those struggles, especially a couple games early on. You're like, what is this?
Yeah.
But now I think you're seeing these last 5-6 games. Buffalo feels that urgency.
Yep.
They had to get back to their winning ways, and that was unleashing Josh Allen, saying, we're going to take the good with the bad. You're a running quarterback.
Yep.
Go win the game.
Alluding to the best player prop of this game.
Okay, let's hear it.
Josh Allen over 44.5 rushing yards.
One play.
But, he's definitely going to bust off, 3 or 4 12-yard runs, a 7 or 5 here, every one. He is going to be running.
3rd and 13, look out. Here we go.
3rd and 13, look out. This is what's going to happen.
Yep.
No, but just getting back to the spread and everything, Andy, if this wasn't at 2.5, if this gets to 3 or 3.5, I'm all over Kansas City because it is going to be that close of a game, I believe.
But right now, you like the hook and you like Buffalo.
I like the hook. I most like just the money line for Buffalo at a minus 150. Throw points out the door in this one.
Yeah.
I believe it's just a one of the best matchups of the year. I'm not even throwing points at it. Give me money line for the Buffalo Bills.
Around minus 150.
Yes, sir.
For that money line. Yeah. Hard to argue that. And Kansas City, something we mentioned some of those crazy stats with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have receivers. Okay, we joke around about that.
Yep.
We know that's the case, but this is also the best defense he's ever had.
Yes, it is.
And that's why I think there might be a little value to look at that under. I know you're saying smash the over, and these two teams will get you there.
Yeah.
But if Buffalo's going to try and run the ball, and it's going to be cold again, and all these things, and Kansas City struggles scoring the football, that's just crazy to say.
Yeah.
But I mean, Travis Kelce is going to be facing double and triple teams, and Buffalo is going to dare any of those other receivers to make plays, and we've seen them drop the ball, line up off sides, you name it. Those receivers have figured out ways to lose games and close games for Kansas City.
No, I totally agree with that, Andy. Another player prop that I wanted to get in right before the parlay, Andy, is the other quarterback in this game, Patrick Mahomes. This guy gets off and running in the playoffs as well.
He does.
His rushing yards are at 28.5. I believe he surpasses this as well. He's one of those guys that needs those first downs, gets those first downs, broke his freaking helmet last week trying to get more yards. So I believe 28.5 is a very low for Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. He extends plays just as well as anybody besides Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen.
The other two guys that we're talking about.
So that's my other player prop that I really like for this game.
All right, you heard the horn. That means we're up against it, but there's always time for a parlay play from the parlay pounder. Jabron, let's hear it.
I believe I'm going to go 2 for 3 with you on this. Houston, Baltimore, we alluded to it early. I'm taking that over. I think it's lock of the week, over 43.5 points. Then I got the Buffalo Bills money line, minus 150, throwing that in the second leg. And then I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs, Buffalo Bills, over 45.5, Andy. Putting $25 on this to receive $125 back.
Okay, I like the odds there, and I wouldn't be surprised if it goes over. Yeah, we see fireworks from these two guys, these two teams, year in, year out in this scenario, so I would not be surprised with the over. So I like the parlay
Let's
play.
Go.
Let's get it.
Let's go. Get it. That's this hitting 3 check marks. Let's get it, boys.
Well, that'll about do it for us this week. Be sure to follow us on ESPN Tri-City Radio and their Facebook page. We're also on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yes.
Got a lot of fun little games and short videos that we put out on there. And our YouTube channel that continues to grow, and the interaction on that has been a lot of fun as well. We would really appreciate if you do watch it. Like us, subscribe us, all those things really helps us grow and what we've been able to do. And we love to hear from you guys. Those comments, they're fun.
They are.
They're fun to go back
I love when we do our shorts on YouTube. Everybody gives us a little flack for losing picks or says this ain't gonna hit and then it does hit. A lot of that's fun stuff. So I love putting the YouTube shorts out. Also on TikTok at WTL Sports Betting as well. Make sure that you look in that before primetime games to get some player props and parlays.
For Jabron, the parlay pounder, I'm Andy Klassen. Thank you for listening. This has been WTL.